Welcome to Sports CTO Talks. In this series, we would be connecting with industry leaders from the technology and sports world, where we will simplify sports technology. I am Ami, your guide on this journey through amazing mind of tech leaders who are shaping the future of sports. We will dive deep into discussions and innovations driving the industry. From AI to cloud, from cybersecurity to sustainability. If it is sports tech, we are talking about it. Today, we have a very interesting guest with us on today's episode, Danny Davis, a West Point graduate, former US Army officer, and founder of Recon Sports. Danny, we welcome you to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to being here.
Absolutely. So, after serving the army, Danny launched Recon Sports to help elite football programs modernize how they manage and use data. His work focuses on helping team organize complex information so coaches and decision makers can easily, clearly see what is happening across the programs and make better decisions. Recon Sports builds internal data systems for teams that brings together athlete performance, recruiting, medical, and operational data into one platform. The company works with major football programs, including the University of Tennessee, to help coaches and front office make faster, smarter decisions about athlete development and roster management. Their system also integrates data from dozens of performance technologies and turns it into clear dashboards, reports, and insights that support daily operations across the entire football program. Today, in this episode, he would be talking about the modern athlete, how AI, digital twins, and the future of sports intelligence is shaping up. Once again, Danny, welcome you to the podcast, and let's begin.
Thanks for that great intro. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, we will directly dive into tough questions because I have a lot of questions, and we will go with the tough ones only.
Hit me.
Okay. So my first one is from a system architecture point of view or perspective. How do you design a scalable pipeline basically that ingests heterogeneous athlete data like wearables, vision systems, EMRs, and contextual game data while maintaining, low latency and high fidelity?
But the most important thing that I try to architect first before looking at any tech stack or how I want to implement or what the user is using, the power to ingest all of this different data, infinite data sources, and put them in a pipeline is really the process of which we clean it and store it. If you almost think about it like a library, you go into a library, they have a naming convention for every book. You can go right to it, that's where that book is. But most sports teams right now, they don't operate like that. It's just files and platforms across the board. So, and they all look completely differently. They're all structured differently. Most people don't use athlete IDs, they use the first and last name. Anyone that works in databases or tech knows that that's going to get messy really fast. So it's about having a structure, a system, and a process that you ingest the data, and what are those steps that you're taking to not just clean it, not just remove errors. Yes, that's important, but it's how are we systematizing this? How are we transforming this? How are we naming these things? And you look at there's multiple platforms out there that track miles per hour. Well, one platform might track it as miles per hour. One platform might track it as speed. There needs to be a convention of which you tag both of those so when they come into your system, you're seeing them as the same thing, but now you can differentiate what type of source it is. So how I architect it is really getting down to, in the sports vertical, really getting down to how do we clean, process, and store and almost create that library Dewey Decimal System for sports and athlete data.
Okay. So So when you talk about it, how do you approach, feature engineering in high frequency biomechanical data streams? It can be IMUs, GPS, especially, when you're trying to capture micro fatigue or neuromuscular signals.
So the favorite part about my job and what really Recon Sports really does is we bring the technical expertise, everything that I just said, but then we work with the coaches, we work with that practitioner, and we really utilize their subject matter expertise on, hey, we want to use our DEXA scans with this, we want to use our GPS with this, I want to integrate it with this is what I'm thinking. They just don't have the time or the technical background to go make it happen. That's where I come in, and I'm not an expert on, injury prevention or strength conditioning or roster management. I'm not an expert in those decisions. I'm an expert in bringing their decisions to life through data and through systems and being able for them to unlock all of the data that they have at their fingertips.
Okay. So, when we talk about multi-model learning startups, how do you effectively fuse videos, sensors, and physiological data? Like, are you seeing any success with early fusions or late fusions or attention-based architectures?
I think the fusion comes from making different composites with those metrics and being able to sit with a stakeholder and say, hey, I want, like, we're almost making like a Madden rating. Each team can make their own Madden rating, for lack of a better term, of, hey, this is what I want the video to be rated at. This is the scale that I want their speed to be rated at. What's a composite on a number 1 through 5 that we can actually communicate through this data now and not just have metrics on metrics on metrics and just noise? How do we sift through the noise and kind of communicate very seamlessly while incorporating everything that we have available to us?
Okay. Like, are there any examples which you can share with the audience, like, where you have worked with Recon Sports, and what changes have been made, and how it has helped?
Sure. So the one of my favorite profiles is called the coactive profile, and there's 4 components to it. There's the physical, the tactical, the technical, and the psychological. So for example, the physical, they have an upper body strength. The upper body strength is taking scores from like their bench press, their incline bench press, their chin up, their overhead press, all of these different metrics and putting it into one score. Then they have the lower body, same thing. And then the tactical, how are they performing on the field? What are their stats? How are the coaches evaluating? Now that's one score. And now when it's all put together across the board, you have one score and then subset 4 more scores. But now, if you really get down to it, you're looking at hundreds of metrics that were meticulously put together through our stakeholders' priorities that now give you that one clear metric so you can really make a decision off of it.
When you're talking about this, what are the few key challenges, in creating real-time decision support systems for coaches, especially when deploying models at, edge versus the cloud?
Um, I'm a big fan of edge computing. That's what Recon Sports really differentiates us from all of the other athlete management systems. I would classify all of them as cloud computing. We are in their environment as close to the user as possible, computing. But a lot of the obstacles comes from certain security and compliance measures. And every university, every institution are going to have a different stack of compliance and security measures and then different tech stacks to go with it. Like a lot of users right now in the sports world, they're probably using Claude, they're probably using ChatGPT, some sort of AI, but it's probably not compliant. Like they probably shouldn't be doing that. Is anyone going to care or tell them they can't do that? Probably not. But as a company trying to come into a institution and sell them, they're going to have so many different checklists of, hey, this is our security measures. You need to fit into this. So now as me as a company, I need to tailor the technology and how we approach it in order to match that technology or that security and compliance, because we can have the best metrics, best solution, best dashboard out there. If we're not secure and we're not compliant in accordance with that university or institution, nothing is going to happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, like, how do you validate and calibrate digital twin models against the real world athlete performance, like, given the inherent variability in human psychology?
So we're, I think I'm maybe 2 years away from really being able to answer that question. I think we're really building the foundation of what that looks like. And what I'm a big advocate for is when the AI is ready, when it's more a little bit accessible to make digital twins in a few years from now, you being able to plug in 5 years, 10 years of historical data into that digital twin is what is really going to power that digital twin, as opposed to, hey, in 3 to 5 years, now digital twin technology is accessible for all. Let's just plug in our current data. You're not going to be as successful as if you had 5 years of clean, systematized, it's in a library. Here's our library database, and now we're plugging it in to a digital twin technology. And on top of that, if you ask an AI, if you ask a digital twin to say, hey, we have 100 different data sources, you need to go and gather all the data from all 100 different data sources, clean it, systematize it, and then provide me answers. That's a completely different task than just saying, hey, here's our database, here's our library, this is what I want to query, and this is what I want to be able to ask and interact with. So I'm really trying to build that foundation to when the digital twin technology, once it advances a little bit, I learn more about it. Teams are kind of advancing more technology-wise to where they kind of understand what a digital twin is. That's kind of how I look at it right now.
Like, how do you convince the teams that technology is important, it is essential for the metrics, and, like, it needs to be imbibed in today's world? How do you do that as a founder?
It's it's tough. It's especially in the sports world, because I think the sports world is unique in terms of any other vertical, because in the sports world, the gut feeling and that gut instinct and what they're seeing with their eyes, like that's real. Like, and you can't you can't put that as negligible. You can't say that doesn't matter. That matters, and especially in the sports world where it's like it's so important, and the jobs now are so like they're in win now mentality, and it's not really about setting the university up for success 3 years down the line with my data. I need to win right now, and I'm going to trust what's gotten me here for the past 40 years as a coach, and these two things right here, my eyes and my gut. And yeah, the data is cool, and that's awesome, but I think now as organizations get bigger, you can only take that gut feeling and those eyes so far, because you can't communicate that. If you're going into if you're a player personnel director and you're briefing your coaching staff on what you think, you can't just say, hey, I saw this, I saw that, I feel this. You need to be able to say, hey, I saw he's really fast, and these are the metrics that we tagged on it to support me thinking that. So you almost use your eyes and your gut to point you in a direction, to get the data, to validate to the stakeholders why your gut data and your eyes are correct.
Absolutely. So, what role does casual inference play in sports analytics, particularly, when you're distinguishing correlations like spikes from true causations in the injuries?
That's a great question, and I really lean on the sports scientists and the athletic trainers for their input on this. Like for example, like with the GPS data, and I keep kind of using that example just because it's the most common. There's spikes in that data all the time. Like before I got into this, I thought I'd just be able to connect to the data and use it. No, no, you need to clean it very specifically. And for me to go into a sports scientist and be like, hey, this is how I think you should clean it, he'll probably look at me, look at my background. What do you know about cleaning data? What I do is I come in and say, hey, what's a spike to you? Like, what is unclean data? And then I go in and I build those parameters. Same with injury stuff. If it's like one athletic trainer might rate a specific injury as mild when the other one might rate it as high. What does mild and high even mean? That's what I really try to get into the system of taking what their terminology is and putting it into the cleaning and the process and the workflow and the architecture and all of this stuff to make it as accurate as possible when they see it on that dashboard.
So when you talk about this, a very important part is data privacy. And ownership is very critical. So how do you architect systems surrounding that ensures compliance? It can be of the team or the institution, or it can be a cross team. Like, how does that work and what do you do for that?
That's a great question, and that's really what separates Recon Sports is because my clients, or the teams that I'm working with, they're not logging into reconsports.com. They're not sending Recon Sports their data and we're housing it and we're doing all of this. We are almost like a consulting company that we come in and we leverage the technology that they're already using, the licenses that the university is already paying for. So if you're paying for all these licenses, but no one knows how to use them, you're paying for them, why would you go to another athlete management company to give your
Correct.
data to them and to pay additional licenses on top of that?
Absolutely.
Instead, let's come in, bring in a subject matter expertise on the data side. Let's unlock the licenses that you're already paying for, and then let's store all of the data on university servers.
Correct.
Like that is to me such a no-brainer as I say that right now, like in terms of what's available out there. But that's how I go around it. So me trying to convince a school, hey, trust my data servers that are off-site, as opposed to let's leverage what you're already paying for and you own it, it makes the conversation that much easier.
Okay. So, like, how do you handle, the model drift in athlete performance models, or especially when it comes to factors like aging, training cycles, or there are so many different environmental conditions continuously, it's changing, the baseline keeps on shifting. So, how do you manage that?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and especially in college football, for the past couple of years we were playing, they were in the COVID era still. So
Hmm.
you had 26, 27, 28-year olds playing college football.
Hmm.
That's completely different than an 18, 19, 20-year-old. And now
Absolutely.
we're starting to transition back into like the 20, 21, 22 because that COVID era is kind of gone. They no longer get 5 years. It was we can have a whole conversation on that, but that's a great example of, hey, if we were looking at data in the weight room and we were better 2 years ago, well, our average age on the team was 26. Now it's
Correct.
20. Like, yeah, we're gonna have lower numbers because we have younger men in here. A 26-year-old is almost a grown man.
Correct.
20-year-old is still growing. So now, as a strength staff, right, when you're going and you're briefing your coaching staff, hey, the numbers went down, our average strength went down, but here's why. It's because our average age is not 26 anymore, it's 21. So while it looks like we got worse, we actually got better. And here's the numbers from our 21-year-olds 2 years ago, and you can see that there was an increase in that. So it's really being able to kind of be flexible with it and being able to, again, it's like not one model, one metric. It's navigating through a path and saying, hey, I can take this, I can take this, I'm going to leverage this, and boom, here's the answer for this problem specifically that I'm trying to solve.
Okay. So when you talk about solving a problem, so in terms of optimization, are you seeing any reinforcement, in learning or simulation-based approaches being used? And are there any different strategies like, load management or training personalization? So how is that segment moving?
I think we're now starting to really get into that. The first couple years, it was just such a game changer to coaching staffs just to be able to have the data in one place and not have to go to 7 places and compile it. Like they were just so happy to have everything on one piece of paper and one login and not 8 logins. And now they can kind of see, oh wow, this just saves me so much time. Like let me process this now. And now we're starting to evolve into, okay, now I'm used to having it all be here. What can we do with it now? Like what are some of the models? How can we leverage some of the grad programs that we have in the university to get access to that database to run their own different studies? Let's run 10 different models on this. It's a lot of flexibility, especially in a kind of an unknown weird time right now with technology and AI. It's moving very, very fast, and something that might work today might not work in 2 years just because there's something much, much better out there. So it's
Absolutely.
really about having that flexibility. And now we have the power to do everything that you kind of just said there, to where before having 20 Excel pages on your desktop across the organization for every person, you can't use any, you can't do anything with that data. You can't plug that into a model. So now we're finally to the point where they understand what we're doing, they see the power of it, and now it's like how do we progress this?
So when you talk about, like if you have to talk about an integrated, fully integrated closed loop system, like starting from sensing to modeling to decision making to training adjustments, like, how do you frame it completely?
That's a great question, and I really leverage my systems background from West Point. I leverage all the leadership experiences that I've had, and I think it's really the observation piece is what really sets you up for success to be able to come in and solve a problem. You need to really observe what's going on. You need to observe the process that they have. Are there any bottlenecks? Are there duplicates? Are people doing the same thing? What are they looking for? What technology do they have? So, like the first month, what I like doing is, and I've done this not just in the football world, but when I was a platoon leader, any leadership spot that you go into, you really just kind of sit back and watch the first month. What's going on? How can I leverage what they're already doing? It's about recognizing patterns and creating new patterns and utilizing existing patterns to get to the objective that much faster. So I really try to look at that observation piece and recognizing patterns. That if you don't do that, you're just guessing on all of the systems and implementations that you do down the road.
It's a two-part question. Like, what are the biggest challenges on both fronts? Technical challenges, on field challenges, which you have faced and which you are facing even today. And, like, as a founder, how do you solve it? How do you push forward, move ahead? And, every day is a new day. How does that happen?
So I think I played football at West Point, and I played football all of my football playing days. So I think that's a really key um, skill set that I have to where when I'm talking with football coaches, I'm talking with strength and conditioning directors, I've been there before as a player. I've been there before as a high school coach. I understand what they're saying, and then I use my technical background to go and make a solution on that. Um, I'm sorry, I forget the second part of the question.
One is technical challenges and one is the on ground challenges. Like, when you meet universities, when you talk to football players, like what are the challenges you face there? And the other is the technical challenges.
I think there's a lot of technical challenges, and really it's just understanding what they're looking for and being able to be a football player in my past. I can really understand what they're looking for. And then the other part is building trust. When you come into an organization, like their jobs rely on this data. Their jobs rely on the metrics that you're providing them, the decisions that you're helping them make. So it's really about building trust over a period of time, which can be, selfishly frustrating because you walk in and look at my resume. I know all this stuff about me, but you have to realize they don't know all this stuff about you. You need to build that trust. And then as that trust goes on, that's when the door really starts to open and you can have a two-way conversation. In the beginning, it just has to be a one-way conversation. Hey, coach, how can I support you the best? To where now in 6 months, I can say, hey, coach, I see you're doing it this way. I know you're trying to do that. But I think if we were to do it this way, it would make everyone's lives easier and it would give you that much more value. And because we've built that 6 months of trust, he doesn't really question. He's like, Danny, thank you. That's why we have you. Thank you.
Absolutely. The last question in this segment is like, how do you see, or like, what do you like vision, what is your vision in the next 5 years, the future of sports intelligence, as AI is coming in, there is so many changes happening day to day, day in, day out, there are so many changes. So like, what are the next 5 years?
I think in 5 years, I would really like to see, not just from Recon Sports, but just from the industry as a whole, because I really do care about the industry. Um, the digital twin technology just being unlocked. I think that's going to be so cool. I think every team is almost going to have their own version of Madden to where they have all these players, they have all these ratings on them. You can run simulations, you can run plays. Hey, what would he look like if he put on 20 pounds? Let's see those two players run side by side in this digital twin technology. What does it look like when he plays on grass versus turf? Now we got the stadium. And then everything, even on the marketing side, not even the player side, but like the marketing, the ticket sales. How do we best leverage the fan experience? How do we enhance that? Hey, here's a digital twin of our stadium. The lines to get in are just outrageous. And if we see it, their two bottlenecks are coming from right here and right here. Now let's shift that and make this fan experience that much better. So I'm excited for the digital twin technology. I feel like that's what you kind of think of, or that's what I kind of thought of like as a kid growing up watching Iron Man or
Mhm.
like playing video games like Ghost Recon or Call of Duty with big maps and stuff like that, and like they're digital, they're coming up. Like that's a digital twin. We can't do that today. I was in the army. It's still all pen and paper. It's still all map on the
Yes.
wall. I think in 5 years, like with digital twin technologies, you're going to be able to see kind of like that Iron Man type of technology that I saw like growing up as a kid in movies, obviously.
Awesome. We'll move on to the next segment, Danny. That's the rapid fire round. I'll shoot a few questions and you'll have to be quick in answering. It can be one word or max one sentence.
Got it.
Okay. So, first question, your favorite player of all time?
Tom Brady.
Okay. AI or human intuition? What wins in crunch time?
Mm, human intuition, but you use AI to prepare for that crunch time to make that
Okay.
human call.
Perfect. One metric you secretly think is overrated today.
40-yard dash.
Okay. What is your favorite buzzword? AI, digital twin, or metaverse?
Digital twin.
Absolutely. Edge computing or cloud? Pick one for the future of sports.
Edge computing.
Hard data or gut feeling? What do coaches trust more today?
I'm going to say the individual trusts his gut data, but the team and the staff, they trust hard data.
Okay. One sport that will benefit the most from AI in the next 5 years.
I think all sports other than the football, like the top revenue producing sports right now, I think all of the sports that are low on the totem pole are going to be brought up using AI and be able to kind of become not even, but increase their revenue by having better players.
Perfect. We'll move on to the next segment. That's you'll have to answer this one question into 30 seconds. What is the role of engineering the modern athlete and the future of sports intelligence?
What is the role?
Of AI in engineering modern athlete and the future of sports intelligence?
I think that it's being able to leverage the historical and present data to create the best possible prediction of what the future may be. If you have an injury that is 6 months away, or if an injury happens, it probably you were able to see signs 6 months ago. So now being able to use AI, historical data, present data, we can be that much more proactive about injury prevention, about success metrics, and about putting athletes in the best possible position to be successful.
Perfect. Thank you, Danny, for sharing wonderful insights on this podcast today and removing time for us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. So, everyone, let's stay connected and please share this episode with all the people who love sports and technology. That was Danny sharing his insights and experience today. Thanks for tuning in. We will meet in the next episode next week. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring.